Hey amigos, how's it going? Hope everything's all right with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hey look, I hope you don't mind, but this video is going to be a little bit of a rerun only because it's the first segment of a video that I've already uploaded, which if you want to check it out, that video is right there. But anyway, the reason why I'm showing this again is number one, well, some of you have already seen this portion of the video about the show, but there's also been new subscribers since then. So some of you new subscribers who haven't seen that video, that video right there, this is to help you and whoever else who may be new or who may stumble upon this to know how not to wire up a mid-USA electronic ignition on your Harley Davidson. Namely, it would fit an Ironhead Sportster, a Shovelhead, or an EVO. So anyway, again, I'm just going to show this because I'm thinking it will be helpful to some of you who may get one of these because I purchased this electronic ignition one time and I messed up only because I was thinking that, well, anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about, but this is it. Guess what I'm going to do with this right here. Now, I didn't buy another Dyna S, but I did buy one like it. It's mid-USA, which is probably second best, I don't know. But I'm going to put it in the Ironhead Sportster because it's running points and it always sounds like a turd whenever I first start it up until it warms up. So I'm assuming that it might be the points, the ignition in there, because I know it does not have any kind of an intake leak. You want to know why I know that? Well, check this out. Okay, I'm running a CV carburetor on this thing, but if you can look back there, it's got a flange that's been permanently pressed onto the carburetor. I don't know if you can see it back there, but it bolts directly to the original intake manifold, and it's got an O-ring that's sandwiched in between that and the intake manifold. And when I put the intake manifold onto the engine, I not only got my O-rings set in place, but I wrapped them with electrical tape and then clamped them down. So I know there's no intake leak, so it's got to be the ignition. So I'm kind of curious to find out. So let's see what we got. Okay, looks like we have here, oh, it came with a set of advanced weights. How about that? Even though you're not going to use a points cam, but you're going to use this little rotor right here, and it's got a magnet on the inside. It only actually goes on one way, and it's going to spin on the end of the cam, and this is going to spin through this. So anyway, this is your pickup unit, and this is your whatever. I don't know, I don't understand the science behind it all, but I know it works. At least it ought to. But anyway, let's just stick it in there and see what happens. And it's the next day. I went ahead and hit the key and hit the start button, and I had no freaking ignition. I have gas going there. I had power going to the coil, so I pulled the plugs, hit the key, no spark. So I checked everything, and it was my assumption that the ignition did not work. So I contacted the guy on eBay that I bought it from. I bought it brand new. It was in the box. See, came in this box, unopened, mid-USA, and told him that this unit does not work. And yes, I did hook it up correctly, and still no spark. And so he told me perhaps I hooked it up wrong. And the blue wire goes to the 12-volt side of the coil, and the white wire goes to the ignition side. And so I hooked it up backwards, then I burned it up. So I told him, well, it would have been great if I would have had some instructions on telling me how to install that, because every single ignition unit aftermarket that I have installed, it's always been the other way around. 2 white wires on the 12-volt side and the blue wire on the ignition side. In fact, every single HD wiring schematic I've ever looked at has got it set up just like that way. And he told me, well, he included the directions in the description. And I went back and looked at the listing, and that's right. So yeah, Mid USA says put the blue wire on the 12-volt side and the white wire on the ignition side. So I burned it up. So now you guys can learn from me on what not to do. And I promised the guy that, you know, I was going to mention this in the YouTube video, but I'm not going to say anything negative about him or his store or what his store is. It's just so that you guys can learn from me what not to do if you ever buy a Mid USA ignition unit. So there's $100+ down the drain. Anyway, usually directions come with a unit, but oh well, since it was on the freaking description on eBay, well, oh well, you guys get the idea. And there you have it. So hopefully you learned from my mistake. So sometimes these electronic ignitions just don't come with instructions. And if you're going to buy an electronic ignition, at least read the description if you're buying from eBay or any other online retailer, you know, if there is directions on how to hook these things up, because apparently they're not all created equal. So anyway, like I said in the video, that every Harley Davidson schematic I've ever read about how to hook up an ignition or how ignitions are wired, the white wire always goes to the 12-volt side of the coil, and then the other color would go straight to the points or whatever, you know. So anyhow, apparently it was backwards on this one, but I hope you learned something. And as always, you guys keep the rubber side down and be good to yourselves. Thanks a lot.